All right, so today's lesson is a continuation of yesterday's lesson. So yesterday we did blind contour drawing. When we did that, the blind part is that we're not looking at our drawing until it's finished, but we're using a contour line. We're looking at the edges of 3D forms. Our pen and our eye are moving at the same rate. We're using a continuous line, so we're not lifting up our pen until we are done or at the end of our drawing. We're recording a lot of detail, so these are not proportional. They are not accurate drawings in the sense that it looks like exactly like your hand, but what it is it is a record of how your eye was moving and studying that form, which happened to be our hand, and then other objects yesterday. So today's lesson, we're going to take away the part where you can't look at your drawing. I know you're like, yay, yes, I can look at my drawing. However, you are still going to be using a pen, which means you can't go back and make erasures or corrections that, get rid of the line. But you can go back over an area and correct it if you need to. So continuous line drawings, this is an example. I've spent about 15 minutes on this drawing. I'm going to ask you to spend 30 minutes on your drawings. I have another one right here. So what you should notice immediately is that I am drawing with a very detailed line. It is smooth, it is continuous. And then the other thing you should notice, these are way more proportional or accurate than my drawings yesterday, but they're still not perfectly accurate or proportional. So notice that each time I'm drawing my hand, that I have a different position of my hand. I'm not just all drawing it the same. Never, ever, ever do I put my hand on the paper and trace around it and then fill details. So you're using pretty much the same method as yesterday. You're just going to go about this drawing and building it in a little bit different way. So if you don't have your sketchbook, get your sketchbook, turn to a new page, and I am going to label this page Continuous Line Drawings. So pause this video if you need to, go get that, and come back. Remember always to sign your work and date it so we know what it is. So here's what we're going to do. You have a full sheet of paper. You're going to work on just this sheet of paper. I'm going to challenge you, if you're not already drawing about life size, to do that. So today my setup is I can put my hand that I'm looking at and drawing right next to my paper or on my paper as I draw it. And once I put my pen down, I am going to glue my eye onto a spot on my hand, and then as my eye starts to move along the edge, then my pen's going to start to move at the same rate. So I'm going to start on my wrist down here. You can do this in a ballpoint pen. You can do this in a skinny marker. You can do it with a pencil, but just know that you are not making any erasure marks or changes. So as I look at your drawings, if you're using a marker, I can see like where you hesitate and stop and start, and that's actually a good thing. That tells me that you're really studying with your eyes, and you're moving along that form, you're looking for details. So what you can't see right now is that my eye is just moving back and forth, drawing to the hand that I'm looking at, drawing, hand, and that as I come to areas where it would be appropriate to draw highlights or shadows, so my nail polish has this really bright white highlight on it, then next to it is a shadow. I'm going to draw that. And then I'm also comparing proportion. So here's a spot where I don't like the initial line I drew, so I drew back over it until I got it in the correct position. So I'm not going back and erasing. I do have a marker. That's not really possible. Right now I'm noticing that the proportion of my drawing is a little off, but I'm going to keep going. What that actually just tells me, if I know that at this point, is that I'm moving too fast. And actually part of my problem today is that I'm talking to you. So because this is a more right brain activity, when I am using my right brain, which is more of the nonverbal side, and we talked about this theory, that it is not necessarily fact, but it is a theory that scientists have, that there are different modes of thinking, and each side of the brain is kind of better at one mode. Well, your left brain is the verbal side. So since I'm really using my right brain right now, it makes it hard for my left brain to do its job. Sometimes those sides of the brain fight with each other. So again, I see a little highlight. Sometimes I have to draw lines just to get to the place that I need to be in order to draw the detail that I'm looking at or that I observe. All right, so there it is. There's some mistakes, especially in my thumb area here. This is the part that I started to notice that was not proportional. But really, I have a very good detailed drawing of where my eye went, which is the purpose of this activity. It is also to start thinking about proportion, but maybe not stopping and erasing what you have, just kind of noticing and moving forward. So the next thing I'm going to do, because you're going to be drawing for 30 minutes, I don't know how long that took. That took about 5 minutes maybe. I'm going to turn my drawing paper, and now I'm going to put my hand in a new position, and I'm going to start a drawing touching a line that I already have. So this one I'm going to start So please keep your gestures, your hand gestures, school appropriate. I know you're not in the building, but we still expect you to engage in academic work. So you can look at you do have to look at your drawing at the same time as your hand that you are looking at. It's kind of difficult because it's hand in hand, but sometimes it gets confusing. Detail, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, and I continue in this manner. When I finish this, I turn my paper again and I start off at a new or an existing line. So let's say I was working on this one. I drew this one first. I drew this one next. Turn my paper again. Here's my third drawing. And look, I ran off the paper. That's okay, just continue. Now your drawings might overlap each other as you go. That's fine too. So you are going to be drawing for a total of 30 minutes. When you're done, what I want you to do is reflect on this process of drawing. And I want you to answer the question on your paper. Is this drawing technique easier or harder than blind contour? Why or why not? So hopefully you have room on your paper to answer this question. You do not have to rewrite the question. You can just write your answer. If you don't have room on your paper, then what I want you to do is when you submit a photo for today, when you submit your photo, just in the text entry box, there is where you can put your response for that. So enjoy. This should be a detailed drawing. You're going to kind of notice these things over on the side of the screen that you're paying attention to. Use a contour line. Your pen and eye will be moving at the same rate. Make your line continuous. Look back and forth between your drawing and your hand. Keep it smooth. Record lots of details. When you finish your drawing, turn your paper and start your next drawing by touching an existing line. You don't always have to build off the last drawing. If I want to go back to the main drawing and build off that, I can. After I finish my second drawing, and then my third, if I want to go back to my second and start a drawing, because that's where I have room, you can do that. Enjoy!